is my fourth vlog, and here I am about to ramble about something else. I am going to talk about the general vibe of people asking me questions about my hearing loss. And then I will do a FAQ where I answer a bunch of frequently asked questions about my hearing loss. Especially for new people that don't know me, this can be a tricky thing. A lot of people seem to be uncomfortable to ask questions about my hearing loss, mostly because people are afraid that they are going to offend me or hurt my feelings. I just want to say right now, people who ask me questions do not offend me. The tone of voice, the time and place, are things that are important for this kind of conversation, but generally I am very rarely offended by people asking me questions. If I'm with a group of people and someone starts asking me questions and kind of putting the spotlight on me regarding my hearing loss, sometimes that can make me feel uneasy. It can be kind of weird with a bunch of people looking at you. I mean, it really depends on the situation. Tone of voice can also be a thing. For example, so can you hear anything at all? So do you even hear anything that I'm saying? Maybe. If you ask questions in a rude manner, that can also be annoying or uncomfortable. When people assume things, usually where I have miscommunication or some kind of problem, uncomfortable moment, each person is kind of unique in their own way, where everybody has different communication methods, speaking methods, and that hearing loss spectrum is very broad. I personally respect people that ask me questions about my hearing loss because it allows me to break the ice, hopefully establish a better relationship with that person. This can vary from person to person in the hearing loss and deaf community. Some people might not be as receptive of you asking a bunch of questions about their hearing loss. That's okay. A good way to start that conversation, ask them, hey, can I ask you some questions about your hearing loss? If they say no, or if they seem really uncomfortable, you might have your answer there. If they say yes, absolutely, that can lead to conversation. Fire off a few questions that I get asked pretty frequently. Were you born hard of hearing? Yes, I was. I have nerve damage in both of my ears. I was born that way. It is all I know, and I've never had hearing in my life. Do you identify as deaf or hard of hearing? The deaf and hard of hearing community can have a strong identity with what the label is for their hearing loss. I identify as hard of hearing. I am still able to hear a good amount with my hearing aids. Communicate primarily by speech and lip reading. I don't use sign language because I never learned. I was mainstreamed, so I went to school in the hearing world. How well can you hear? There is a technical answer to it, and then there's also more of a subjective answer to it. I do have a hearing chart. On paper or with technical terms, I have a severe to profound hearing loss. I don't hear that well. However, with my hearing aid, I do hear a good amount. So in ways, I am not able to tell you that because I don't know how well you hear and what certain sounds sound like to you. Why don't you have a cochlear implant? Revolved around personal preference. I was very fortunate in that my parents kind of left that decision up to me. So right now, I live a very full, adventurous, rich life, and I have hearing aids in both of my ears because I communicate pretty well with hearing aids, and because I am able to forge healthy relationships, carry out my job, still be able to do pretty much all the things that I want to do, I am pretty satisfied with what I can hear. Because of that, I choose not to get a cochlear implant. Can you swim or surf with your hearing aids? Technically, the hearing aids are pretty water resistant, and you can get them wet without damaging the technology. Gotten used to the habit of not swimming with them or getting them wet. Because they are also pretty expensive, important to me, and I'm actually a little bit paranoid about it. When I was little, I also had one waterproof hearing aid that I would take my normal hearing aid out and put that one in if I was gonna go swimming. Nowadays, I just take my hearing aids out when I go swimming or if I am surfing. I don't wear my hearing aids when I surf because if I were to fall or get crushed by a wave, then my hearing aid would most likely fall out and then they would be lost forever. Do you know sign language or do you sign? I know the alphabet and that's pretty much it. This is mostly because of how I was raised. I was mainstreamed, so I went to public schools. I wasn't a part of the deaf community at all until I got a little bit older. My family is a hearing family. I am the only one in my family that has a hearing loss. Since I was mainstreamed, sign language were pretty much never used either. Do I need to talk louder when I'm speaking to you? Well, that is a very good question. This big misconception that deaf or hard of hearing people need you to pretty much yell at them in order for them to hear you or understand you. The volume of your voice does not make a difference. In fact, if you were in the middle of a club or a concert, you could not say anything at all and just mouth words to me and I would understand you just fine. And if you are yelling at me, it only makes the situation really uncomfortable. How should someone introduce you to someone new? So this is a question that I got on Instagram. And it is a really good question, and it's also something that I have a lot to say about. So I am going to answer this question in another vlog. I feel like when you don't have conversations about something that is pretty important to someone and an essential part of their being, then you are kind of missing a big chunk of their personality and their experiences and maybe their perspective. I am definitely an advocate for talking about that kind of stuff, just like you would talk about anything else. Sweet. Well, I think we covered a lot there. Thanks for watching and hopefully I'll see you for the next one.